when I say everybody, I mean you. I mean you, beautiful. Yeah. Are you excited for little daddy time? Would you like to hear the rest? Or maybe not the rest, but would you like to hear the next chapter in the saga of Mr. Bologna, the ultimate teacher of the year, who came to the little school where Mr. Little Z-Man? Yeah? You want to see how the little boy, Mr. Z, figures out how to get... Uh-oh, maybe you don't. Hey, 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 can you say dada? Can you say dada? Can you say dada? I want you to say dada. Say dada. Say dada. Dada. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ooh. He says hello. He says hello.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I'm not sure why, that's just what my daddy came up with. This is Joseph. This is Owen. This is Joseph. Tomorrow this will not be Joseph because it's a really bad name. Oh well.
All right, little man, are you ready for chapter 2 of Professor Bologna? I think you are. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. We last left off the end of chapter 1 with the little boy being so upset with himself because he couldn't find a way to properly introduce himself to Professor Bologna. And he was very upset about this, especially when attendance was being called and he didn't even know what to say. He struggled to find the words to come out of his mouth, and instead he said nothing that made any sense whatsoever. He wanted to sit in the front of the room. Instead, he went to the back right of the class because the end of his name started with the letter Z, like zebra. Can you say zebra? Can you say zebra? Zebra. 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 You know zebra. You saw a zebra the other day at the zoo. He had black and white stripes. You remember? 4 legs, hooves. Yeah, kind of like a horse, but kind of not. You know, a zebra. Anyways. Whoa. As the class went on after the attendance call, Mr. Bologna was hard at work writing things down on the chalkboard. Now, little Mr. Z, little baby boy Z, little youngster Z, let's call him, should we call him Z-Bo? Let's call him Z-Man, the Z-Man, Z-Boy. Let's call him Z-Boy. You want to call him Z-Boy? What do you want to call him? Let's call him Z-Boy. Z-Boy was so adamant that he had to make little Mr. Bologna excited about teaching himself that he had to devise a plan. But what was his plan going to be? Nobody really knew what his plan was going to be. Not even little Z-Boy. So the question was, how could he get his attention? But right now he was in class. He was in class. He couldn't just shout out anything. Besides, he had a chance to shout out something earlier, and he couldn't think of anything to shout out. He couldn't say here. He couldn't say present. He couldn't say aloha. He couldn't say hola. Say, yes, sir, I'm here. He couldn't say none of that. He couldn't think at all. He was just doing spits like you. Spits like you. So, now that Professor Bologna was back to the classroom, which I think in theory you should never do as a teacher, but he was Instructor of the Year, and he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, so he had a choice to do whatever he wanted. He had carte blanche. Do you know carte blanche? Have you ever heard of the word carte blanche? No, I don't think you have. This is the first time you've ever heard the word carte blanche. You should be so excited to hear first words for the first time. It's so exciting. We can use all sorts of weird words. And that's one of the things that Professor Bologna was going to teach these children. Every single day of class, the first thing he did after attendance was go to the chalkboard and write 2 vocab words that he guessed these children had never heard before. The first word he wrote was phantasmagoric. Yeah, can you say phantasmagoric? Phantasmagoric. Yeah. It's got the word phantasm in it. So obviously it must have something to do with ghosts, right? Ooh, phantasms. As we know, phantasm is another word for ghost. And phantasmagoric is sort of like an atmosphere of ghosts. I mean, who wouldn't love an atmosphere of ghosts? I mean, come on. That sounds like a blast, because I like scary stories and haunted houses, and hopefully you will too. Anyways, so the first word he put up on the chalkboard was phantasmagoric. How many syllables is that? Phantasmagoric. That is 5 syllables. 5 syllables. Are those too big a words? Are those words too big for you? Phantasmagoric. 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 Yeah. Oh, yeah. Phantasmagoric. The second word, and Professor Bologna loved to use this second word because this was a weird one. Are you ready? This was a weird one. It's called the second word was called... Put that in your hands. Cliffhanger, I know. The second word was... The second word was scaphism. Ooh, scaphism. Professor loved using this word because this was a real naughty word. Scaphism was a form of torture used in the olden days and probably, sadly, still used today in some countries other than the United States. Scaphism was this weird thing where they would take a human being and they would put honey all over their bodies and then they let ants and stuff crawl all over them. I know, it's disgusting. As you know, ants love honey. And all the little creepy crawlers would come and they go all over the people. Yeah. Whee! Yeah. All the crazy ants would go num num nummies all over the human beings. It was terrible for the poor little human beings. Scaphism. Yuckies. Professor Bologna knew this was not a great word to be teaching kids, but he also knew he had to get the kids' attention very, very quickly, as in right away. And he knew if he taught middle school kids a word like scaphism, boom, he'd have their attention for good. And he would know that tomorrow they would be so excited for the next 2 vocab words because they were really learning something. And not just something boring like grammar, even though I like grammar. They were learning things that were just totally uncalled for. It was like this secret world that they were learning. And they were so excited. They were like, oh, Mommy and Daddy would not like to hear that we're learning about scaphism. And that's why they liked it so much. That's why they loved it. And that's why they instantly loved Professor Bologna. And that's how Professor Bologna got to them right away. Z-Boy took his little pen, he opened up his notebook, and right away he wrote down the vocab words and their definitions. He was excited. He was going to learn so much from Professor Bologna. After all, he was Instructor of the Year, wasn't he? And this includes Chapter 2 of Professor Bologna. Thank you for listening. Can you say thank you for listening? You say, Daddy, I'm listening, but I'm fussy. Okay. Okay, here we go. Bye, guys. Mwah. Yeah.